Good evening, doctor. We are from Group 1 and our chosen company is Sign Debbie. So my name is Sivamadini, my metric number EX03726.
I'm Reshmi Sandra. My metric number is EX03715.
Good day, doctor. My name is Nishal by Dr. Samuel, and the matrix number is EX03720.
Good day, doctor. My name is Sumukanya Saranan, and my matrix number is EX03716.
Slide. So for the introduction, the analysis of the accounting rules pertaining to the corporate merge and consolidation will be the main topic of this project. The MFRS 3 business combination and the MFRS 127 consolidation standard are two well-known accounting standards that cover these subjects. Additionally, MFRS 10 consolidation offer the additional classification on the consolidation practice to ensure that the financial statement correctly present the financial situation, performance, and cash flows of the merged organization. These standards provide clear, uniform principle for the corporate merge and consolidations. Investors, analysts, and other stakeholders may make a wise judgment because of their improve comparability and openness. Next slide. So the next changes over the method used from pooling interest method, purchase method to acquisition method. So first, pooling of interest method. In the past, business merged frequently used the pooling of the interest method as an accounting techniques. So the financial accounting of the joining business were consolidated using their book values without any goodwill of fair values modification. The changes and the reason for the pooling of interest method is the pooling approach did not accurately reflect the underlying economics of firm merge, which is why this revision was made. It frequently leads to the overstatement of asset and earnings, making it challenging for the investors to judge the combined entity genuine value and performance. Next, purchase method. Purchase method replaced the pooling of interest method and become the prevailing approach before the introduction of the acquisition method. So the reasons and the changes is while the purchase method was improvement over the pooling of interest method, it still had limitations. So it allowed companies to allocate the purchase consideration to specify assets and liabilities, leading to the potential manipulation of the reported earnings. Next, acquisition technique. The current accepted practice for the accounting business combination is acquisition technique as described in MFRS 3. It's mandated that all identifiable assets, liability, and contingent liability required by the accurate to be recognized and measured at the fair market value. The changes and causes is the requirement for the comparability and transparency in financial reporting lead to the introduction of the acquisition technique. So it's guaranteed that the financial statement appropriately reflect the economic foundation of the business merge. The acquisition method offer a more accurate dispatch of the financial condition, performance, and perspective of a combined firm because asset and liabilities are recognized as a fair value. Users are then able to decide based on accurate and comparable fact. Next will be continued by my group mate.
Okay, so the difference between MFRS 10 and also MFRS 127 is for name, for MFRS 10, it is consolidated financial statement, and for MFRS 127, it will be separate financial statement. So when it comes to objective for MFRS 10, the objective is when one business controls one or more other companies. MFRS is intended to define guidelines for the creation and presentation definition of consolidated financial statement. And for MFRS 127, the objective is for investments in subsidiaries, joint ventures, and associates. The standard is to specify the accounting and disclose requirements when a business prepares separate financial statement. Next, for the scope, an entity that is a parent shall present consolidated financial statement. This MFRS applies to all entities except as follows. So if a parent meets all of the following requirements, such as being a wholly owned subsidiary or a partially owned subsidiary for another entity, and all of its other owners, including those who are not otherwise entitled to vote, have been informed and do not object to the parent not presenting consolidated financial statement, then the parent is exempt from the requirement to present consolidated financial statement. So the second will be neither its debt nor equity instruments are traded on a public market, such as an over-the-counter market, local regional markets, or a domestic or international stock exchange. And for MFRS 127, when an entity chooses to issue separate financial statement or is obligated to do so by local requirement, this standard should be applied to the accounting for investment in subsidiaries, joint ventures, and associates. The production of separate financial statement by different business is not required by this standard. It is applicable when a company creates independent financial report that abide with Malaysian financial reporting standards. Okay. Next, for the scope of MFRS 10, it did not submit financial statements to a Securities Commission or other regulatory body for the purpose of offering any class of instruments in a public market, and it is not in the process of doing so. Lastly, subsidiaries are consolidated or measured at fair value via profit or loss in line with this MFRS in its ultimate or any intermediate parents IFRS compliant financial statements that are made accessible for public use. Lastly, for the returns for MFRS 10, when an investor's return from its participation with the investee has the potential to change as a result of the performance of the investee, the investor is exposed to or has rights to variable returns. Solely positive, solely negative, or both positive and negative returns are possible for an investment. Next will be, although only one investor may influence an investee, many parties can split the investment's profits. Holders of non-controlling interests, for instance, are eligible to receive a portion of investees' earnings or dividends. When it comes to MFRS 127, when an entity's entitlement to receive a dividend from a subsidiary, joint venture, or associate is created, the dividend is reported in the entity's separate financial accounts, unless the corporation chooses to utilize the equity method, in which case the dividend is acknowledged as a decrease from the investment's carrying amount, and the dividend is recognized in profit or loss. Next will be presented by Siva Martin.
Thank you, Sumanya. So I will explain the development of the development of the control concept in the business combinations. So MFRS is the accounting standard that provide guidance on business combination in Malaysia. So development of the control concept business combination under MFRS 3 can be explained as follow. So firstly, recognition of the control. So MFRS 3 recognition of the control as an essential feature of the business combination. It defines control as the ability to regulate an entity's financial and operating policies in order to profit from its operation. So control is an important factor in determining whether a business combination has happened and when the accusation method of the accounting should be used. Secondly, shift from the ownership focus. So MIFRS 3 shift away from a fixed focus on the voting rights ownership as the major measure of the power, because it recognizes the control may be gained by the alternative mechanisms such as contractual agreement, governance framework, or a mix of the two. So this change acknowledge that the control can exist with the less than the majority ownership share. So next, the influence and the decision making authority. In determining control, MFRS 3 emphasize the relevance of the influence and the decision making power, because it's evaluate whether the acquire has the power to direct the equities, relevant operations such as the strategic direction, financial policies, and then the operational activities. So the control is established when the acquire has the authority to make decisions that have like a substantial impact on the returns of the equity. So next, the lastly is the professional judgment. Uh, Control decision under MIFRS 3 require the use of professional judgment. So because it recognizes that the assessing control maybe need a complicated consideration and through examination of multiple elements. So entities must review all relevant data and assess the entire nature of the accurate relationship. So next slide. Okay, there are few types of control in business combination for SIME-DABI. Firstly, majority voting control. So this type of control is based on owning more than 50% of the voting rights in the equity company. So some SIME-DABI acquire a majority stock in another company. It can exercise control over the equity's financial and operation policies through the voting power. So next, the board control. So secondly, the board control. Control can be exerted through the board representation. So sometimes SIME-DABI secure the position on the board of director of the acquiring company, and it can influence the decision-making process and strategic direction and the key policies. So next is one of the type of control in the business combination is management control. Management control, SIME-DABI is the exit control by having the ability to appoint a key executives or management personnel in the equity company. So this allows the SIME-DABI to influence and direct the operational activities and day-to-day by management decision of the equity. So next, the contractual control. Contractual control can be established through a contractual agreement. So SIME-DABI negotiates specific contractual arrangement that grant it control over the certain aspects of the equity operation, such as like pricing, distribution, or intellectual property rights. So next, financial control. So SIME-DABI has a significant influence over the financial policies and funding decision of the equity. So this may include providing substantial financing, setting financial targets, and having veto rights over the certain financial decision. So lastly, technological control. In some cases, control can be established through the ownership or access to the critical technologies or intellectual property. So SIME-DABI acquire a company with the key proprietary technologies. It can control the development, use, and the license of those technologies. That's all from me.
So moving on to the financial statement. analysis. The first one will be profitable ratio, which is for gross margin ratio for 2022 and 2021. For 2022, it's around 0.045. And the next review, it's around 5.67%. And for 2021, it's 7.67. Actually, this EBIT margin ratio, it should be better if they have 10% and above. Since it's below 7, it's considered a bit risky for the Scientific company. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Coming back to liquidity ratio, for current ratio, 2022, they have 1.60.253. So current ratio, if the company have 1.2 to 2, it's considered as good. And since it's below 1, it's considered a bit risky for both companies, for both years. And for the quick ratio, 2022, they have around 0.232, and for 2021, it's around 0.192. And quick ratio, it's actually to match the both assets and liability that the company has. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, for the solvency ratio, debt to asset ratio for 2022, it's just around 7.179, and 2021, it's around 0.13. And for the debt to equity ratio for 2022, it's 0.014, and for 2021, it's around 0.023. So that's all from me. Moving on to the conclusion part.
Okay, so for the conclusion, the implementation of MFRS 10 may fundamentally affect the current practices of some reporting institutions. So it's not just about being aware of and understanding the MFRS. A reporting organization may need to make changes to its accounting system and practices as a result of the new regulations. To ascertain whether voting rights are transferred to an investor, whether an investor has special rights under the law, such as when a government-owned golden share is passed to the investor for control of an investee, or whether an investor controls an investee through a contract with a major shareholder. Contractual agreements with other parties would need to be examined. A reporting entity would also need to review all of its relationships with other entities, whether they are structured or conventional, and assess the nature of each one. By implementing the new control model, several subsidiaries that were previously consolidated under MFRS 127 may fail the control test, requiring consolidation. A reporting entity must take into account all the pertinent circumstances and facts, even if the control model is built on 3 components, which is power, returns, and the link between power and returns. In evaluating whether a reporting organization has the authority to comment and prepare returns, important judgments are required where the voting rights held are less than a majority, or when the ability to govern the relevant activities is based on contractual agreements. So that's all from us. Thank you.
Thank you.